had a really good start. We'd actually practiced the start and the beat all the way out to the fairway buoy on the Wednesday before with similar current, and luckily had 25 knots for that day. So it got us a bit acclimatised to what we were probably going to see, where we wanted to place the boat, and also to give us a really good idea of where we were on the start line. And we got a really nice start. We were up at the squadron end on starboard, controlling most people. We were able to flick onto port and basically had the first cross on most people. So that was good. So we led out. But we'd identified that the first 8 hours was going to be survival mode, and certainly getting through the races of exiting the Solent through the Needles Channel, and then Anvil Point, St Albans, and then the big one, Portland, was how extreme they were going to be. And the goal was that, the goal was to get to Lyme Bay in shape, and I have to say, the Portland race was horrendous.
And yeah, so how extreme was it? What wind speeds did you see, and how reefed down were you?
Portland race, we had 2 reefs and the number 4 jib. We started with the full main number 4 jib, but we don't know how windy it was because we lost the wand in Portland race. That was a casualty for the race. But I would say we probably had 38 knots. Probably had a little bit more in Lyme Bay, but the conditions in the race, particularly to the west of Portland, were quite extreme. We ended up all sitting in the cockpit and just basically sailing the boat at 5-6 knots and just trying to get through, trying to make sure we didn't break the boat.
So taking everyone off the rail, just being safe and...
Yeah, and also just to slow the boat down as much as we could. But yeah, there were a couple of where you just couldn't steer the boat over. Yeah, you couldn't avoid the hull. So Ran were alongside us or just in front of us at St Albans, and they broke there. And then after, once we got, as we were going out through the other side of Portland, Black Pearl pulled out as well. As well did the Botin 65, the French Botin 65. So so we survived that. We knew we had Warrior One, Eno Noir, obviously teasing machine to race in our class as well as Armature. There were plenty of people that we have to push hard, which we sort of did through the whole race.
And you made some pretty big gains on the leg to the rock from the Lizard, by the looks of it.
Yeah, we had a good beat across to the Lizard from Plymouth. We sort of worked the right, which was slightly against what the routing did, but it was shifty enough that we probably had 2.5 miles on the cross with Warrior One, and then the tide was going to be against all through the Lizard, so we were in. We did the whole Falmouth coast, short sailing along that coast, which worked pretty well. I think we probably did 40 tacks along there, something like that. We also had to go at replacing the wand in the flattish water, but unfortunately the cable was damaged. So although we have a wand at the top of the rig, it was still unusable. So, but Lizard was good. We had a really nice back eddy down the eastern side, and then we're right in on the Dales, and then popped out the other side. So it was good. It was that putt was all good.
That's good. And then and then up to the rock and coming back was presumably about staying ahead of the breeze shutdown.
Yeah, I did. We always knew on the way to the rock we were going to have the trough line coming over, so we knew that we had to foot towards it on port, and that it was going to be a big shift with a lot of pressure behind it, and it did exactly that. We probably had it as light as 5 to 7 knots in the front of it, and we're down to probably 4 or 5 knots of breeze, wind, boat speed at times. But once it came over, it sort of built, and then all of a sudden we had 24, 25 knots, and were jib top and reef mainsail standing at the rock.
Which, just to say, is presumably when a boat like that absolutely lights up.
Yeah, but we also know that Warrior One have a very similar configuration. I'm sure we know I've got a similar inventory. I know teaser machine guy. So and because as the trough moved over, then that means that the guys behind sailed less different distance, and Eno Noir certainly had a great leg out there. They didn't lose any miles to us, even though they're 7 foot shorter.
And how tricky was the final bit into Cherbourg? Because I know that can be tactically challenging.
Yes, we were watching we knew the tide was going to be against. We were watching our watches, and we pushed pretty hard through the channel last night. We basically had the throw up, 2 staysails, reef main, and we're just sitting at probably 18 to 20 knots, and in the dark with just boat speed and heading, so it was quite lively. But yeah, the last bit down here, we got through the race and then worked the shore, and in the end we had a lot more breeze than we were hoped, but which was great. So we got here with a bit to spare, but great. I mean, Caro, it's my first time sailing with Caro, and Max, a great owner. He's got a fantastic team and a very well prepared boat, and they're all boxes that you need to tick in order to be up there for the Fastnet race.